Hi everyone. A summer thoughts stimulated by some writings of Andrew Wilson in his book Incomparable. The word Makarios means blessed. So in the Beatitudes we read, blessed are the poor in spirit, blessed are the pure in heart. It means happy, fortunate. Now, if you were asked to describe God's character, I wonder what words you might use. Probably it would be things like, well, he's a God of love, he's a holy God, he's patient, he's kind, he's good, he's faithful. But I wonder how many of us would use the word Makarios, happy. He's a happy God. But that's exactly what Paul does in 1 Timothy chapter 1. In accordance with the gospel of the glory of the blessed God with which I have been entrusted. The glory of the happy God. And again in chapter 6 he writes, the blessed and only sovereign, the King of kings and Lord of lords, who alone has immortality, who dwells in unapproachable light, whom no one has ever seen or can see. To him be honour and eternal dominion. Amen. That's 1 Timothy 6 verse 15. The happy and sovereign King of kings. He is a happy God. Now, we know he can be grieved, he's sorrowful over our sin and our rebellion, but overwhelmingly, he is a joyful God. He rejoices in his creation. He rejoices over his people. Indeed, he sings and rejoices over his people. But imagine if God was grumpy, or if he was tetchy or irritable, if he sulked or was unhappy. Well, we'd never be sure what mood God was in when we came and approached him in prayer or worship. And we as worshippers would become miserable too in his presence. We would grow to become like him. But because he is a happy God, we get our joy from his joy, our happiness from his happiness. We can enter, says Jesus, into the joy of our Master. In his presence, says the psalmist, there is fullness of joy. We live in a very hedonistic society, pleasure-loving, pleasure-seeking, but we know that these things don't last. In fact, in Hebrews 11, it says he describes them as the fleeting pleasures of sin. God promises those who seek him, rather than worldly pleasures, to make us glad with the joy of his presence. It is his joy that lasts forever because it's part of his eternal nature. It's so good that he is an eternally happy God because his joy overflows to us. We're happy because he's happy. He rejoices over us. He sings a song of pure joy over us. The Galatians had counted themselves happy when they first heard and received the gospel. Paul asked them a question. What then has become of your happiness, of your blessedness? Paul asked them, have they lost their happiness? Have we lost ours? Time in God's presence will sort it out if we have. Have a great summer.